You know, I'm a man of many talents here. One of my best is a Bernie Sanders impression that I think is dead on. I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to tell you is that later on this week, he's going to make a big speech espousing the virtues of socialism. And he argues that he can make a very, very cogent argument that it's good. And the kind of things he's espousing, like Medicare for all and helping kids with their college tuition, those are things, if you took socialism out of the title, would well endorse. Is that true? Susan Lee, back with us. We got Dan Geltrude and Heath Herzog. Dan, by the way, is the author of Positive Financial Karma. And I guess what he is saying, Dan, is that, you know, he's known as the socialist. He started out as a socialist. And it's good karma, espousing the virtues of socialism. What do you think?
Well, I don't agree with socialism, Neil, but certainly the things that he's bringing up are popular. I mean, free college. Why wouldn't the young people be in favor of that? Medicare for all. So
or their parents, by the way.
Or their parents, right. So he is saying things that are popular to a segment of the population. And that's why every time he holds a rally, it's packed.
Yeah, you're right. You know, Heath, it's interesting, too, and you and I have gotten into this. Take socialism out and talk about the stuff that Dan did, you know, free college, you know, health care for all. Those are endearing goals, right? And then, of course, when you talk about having to pay for it, et cetera, it's a different matter. But I think Republicans, you know, give that short shrift and dismiss it. Oh, crazy, he's crazy.
Maybe, well, I think people are going into it thinking in the rational line of thinking, meaning that how can you possibly have free college for all and everyone on Medicare without it having a major impact on the economy in a negative way? I mean, there's no way anyone would be able to pay for that. It's unrealistic. It's, I mean, we talk about it until we're blue in the face here.
Folks like you pay for it.
Yeah.
The upper income.
Oh, okay. Well, folks like me, and what a 90% income tax. I mean,
I'm a journalist, so I'm
no one will ever get hired for anything because we're all paying for this free, you know, free stuff for everyone. It just, it makes no sense. And every time I see him go out there and make a speech or say something about it, it makes my blood boil.
All right, I'll put you down as a maybe on Senator Sanders. Susan, where is this going now? I mean, obviously, if you don't want to acknowledge a good economy, I mean, I think you don't have to be left or right to say this is a pretty good economy. Yeah. So you pick other battles, and this might be one that registers.
I think we should not answer any more questions until we hear your Bernie Sanders impersonation.
I will tip it off. But
okay, but
this is not the moment. All right, see what I did there?
But I saw that. It was great. So he was at Walmart, the Walmart meeting this week, the shareholders meeting.
You know what I liked about Walmart? They let him in.
As opposed to
let him in.
Amazon.
Well, no, he could have been protesting outside, and they said, come on in.
Yeah, he made his push because Walmart is the largest employer in America. They still pay, I think the minimum wage is like $11. And Bernie Sanders, you know, fresh off his
success. Minimum wage.
Starting minimum wage. They say it's 17 if you average it all out. But given his success with Amazon, he thought, oh, well, maybe we can push Walmart to do the same. But I don't think you can argue with the strong economy. Now, you can argue whether or not these companies should be paying more. I mean, what is a living wage when the federal minimum wage is $7.25? And I think it depends on your profit margins, right? The reason why we're looking at this great economy is also by the cutting of red tape, by tax cuts, and corporations being able to, yes, buy more stock, but also pay the wages that we've seen bump up to 3% this year, which is higher than the average that we saw last year. So, you know, there's always a give, shove. If you want a living wage, you also have to let corporations make money as well.
All right, but do wedge issues, and I don't want to trivialize these as just merely wedge issues, Dan, do they move the needle, you think? If Wall Street sense, for example, that Bernie Sanders is making traction and just could be president, then what?
Well, that would be very interesting to see if Bernie Sanders could really pull something like this off. But
remember,
listen,
they used to say that about Donald Trump.
Exactly. And let's not forget, too, on the topic of the economy, Donald Trump should be a heck of a lot more popular than he is based upon what's going on in the economy.
Why isn't he?
Well, I think it's his outbursts. I think it's the Twitter. I think people feel that he just doesn't. I think people think he doesn't act presidential.
You are so going to get tweeted out.
Well, that's not necessarily my opinion, Neil, but I think a lot of people feel that way. But listen,
so he'd be doing a lot better if not for that.
Yes, and
Because,
I think,
he argues back, well, the mainstream media just doesn't say anything good about me.
Well, I think part of that is true as well. But look, Neil, I think Walmart letting Bernie Sanders into their meeting was a smart move. I don't think Bernie Sanders and the policies that he's espousing can be ignored. We saw what happened with Amazon. Walmart doesn't want to get stuck in that type of battle.
But
with
saying
someone
it
like
and
him.
actually putting it into practice is two different
But
things.
people are not listening.
And people aren't listening, and they're not pre-thinking it. They don't understand that to put that into practice will take a Herculean effort on behalf of corporations like Walmart, like Amazon. It will not happen. It doesn't matter what policy.
Well, actually,
you implement.
Amazon has already implemented that. They have raised it to $15. A lot of their back staff.
I'm not talking about minimum wage. I'm talking about having Medicare like coverage for all and free. Actually, Walmart has this new policy where they're trying to have college for everyone at $1 a day.
The people that are getting those benefits aren't going to pay for it. That's why it's popular. The people who are going to get that free college education, they're not the ones paying for it. So why wouldn't they support a candidate who's pushing that type of agenda? This is politics, not logic.
But even Joe Biden has said this past week he has his climate change plan, a $1.7 trillion plan.
The name of it.
But he says he'll pay for it by just ditching the president's tax cuts.
It will cost $5 trillion. I mean, those tax cuts
He said
are
1.7 trillion, and it's a deal.
Right. Okay. So we're looking at 1.2 trillion in these tax cuts, but does it feed back into the economy as we've seen? Does it help? Does it help the likes of Walmart's and Amazon?
He was criticized that that's not enough.
I would
1.7
agree.
trillion is not enough. What do you make of that?
1.7 versus what he was saying.
He
it was
says
an estimate of
1.7.
1.7.
Tax cuts are 1.2, something like that.
Again,
People realize that's a lot of money.
You can sit there and keep beating this point in. You can sit there and say that this makes sense and it sounds really great, but actually implementing it is going to take a totally different effort that it will not happen. It won't manifest.
You didn't pile on Dan like I was hoping you guys would.
He bought us some coffee in the break.
He did, really.
Yeah.
I did my best to make up for what happened
That's the capitalist. That's the capitalist in him. Guys, thank you very much. Good seeing you on a beautiful Saturday. They could have just taken the day off. They chose not to do that. I appreciate that.